Welcome, legends. This is News and Rings, bringing you nonstop WWE news, match results, and inside scoops. Hit subscribe and let's dive straight in. Roman Reigns stunned the WWE Universe on Raw when he arrived with Tama Tonga and unveiled a mystery partner whose identity sent shockwaves through the entire roster. This wasn't a simple faction expansion, a returning legend, or a debuting international star. It was a calculated power play by the tribal chief, one that instantly threw WWE into chaos and left Seth Rollins' faction shaken to its core. The moment Roman stepped out onto the stage with a hooded figure beside him, everyone watching sensed that the balance of power in WWE was about to shift in a way no one could have anticipated. How Roman set the stage for the perfect moment. The seeds for this reveal were planted weeks earlier when Roman Reigns announced he was expanding the bloodline with new blood worthy of standing beside him. Fans speculated endlessly, throwing out names like Jacob Fatu, established stars from abroad, or even former WWE performers rumored to be returning. But behind the scenes, the real recruitment was happening quietly, with Tama Tonga disappearing from segments and Paul Heyman dropping cryptic hints about family business. All the while, the true target was someone no one suspected, someone already positioned deep inside Seth Rollins' camp. Seth Rollins' faction was growing stronger. In response to Roman's tightening grip over WWE's main event landscape, Seth Rollins began forming a faction of his own. The group consisted of wrestlers Seth had mentored, respected veterans who believed in his leadership, and rising talents who saw Seth as the alternative to Roman's dominance. Together, they built real momentum, winning big matches, cutting passionate promos, and presenting themselves as a legitimate threat to the bloodline. For the first time in years, it looked like Roman might face an organized, unified wall of resistance that could actually stand in his way. Raw opens with confidence until Roman arrives. The Raw segment began with Seth's faction celebrating a significant win over Bloodline associates. Spirits were high, unity seemed strong, and Seth spoke with confidence about finally ending Roman's reign over WWE. But everything changed the moment Roman's music hit. He emerged with Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, Tama Tonga, and the mysterious hooded figure whose identity had been teased for weeks. Roman's expression made one thing clear. He hadn't come to talk. He'd come to dismantle Seth's confidence piece by piece. Roman's warning strikes the first blow. Roman Reigns addressed Seth with that signature calm arrogance, telling him his faction was a house of cards built on pride rather than true loyalty. The tension spiked when Roman implied that someone in Seth's inner circle valued opportunity more than loyalty. The camera showed Seth's factions subtly glancing at one another, doubt creeping in where unity once stood. Roman's smile widened, signaling that the moment everyone had been waiting for had finally arrived. The shocking identity of the mystery partner. With a single gesture from Roman, Tama Tonga removed the hood, revealing that the mystery partner was not a new recruit from outside the company, but someone who had been standing with Seth Rollins all along. A trusted member of Seth's own faction had turned, choosing Roman's leadership over Seth's. The arena erupted in disbelief as the betrayer stepped forward and stood proudly beside Roman. The emotional blow to Seth was immediate. The shock on his face said everything. The betrayer explains their choice. Given the microphone, the traitor delivered a calm but brutally honest explanation. They claimed that Seth's faction revolved too much around Seth's personal issues with Roman and not enough around elevating everyone involved. They said they were tired of being a background player in someone else's story, and Roman offered real influence and real opportunity. The statement wasn't shouted or angry. It was steady, personal, and painfully truthful in a way that cut deeper than any physical attack could. The bloodline executes a precise, coordinated ambush. With the emotional dagger already in Seth's heart, Roman signaled for the bloodline to advance. What followed was not a chaotic brawl, but a methodical, controlled ambush. The betrayer's knowledge of Seth's group allowed the bloodline to neutralize each member efficiently, separating allies and cutting off support before Seth could regain control. Instead of focusing solely on dominance, the bloodline targeted strategy and psychology, showing that this attack was planned with care, not rage. Seth faces his most personal defeat. Seth Rollins found himself increasingly isolated as Roman's strategy unfolded. Without graphic violence or excessive physicality, the segment focused on emotional impact, the shock, the disbelief, the loss of trust. By the time it ended, Seth was left devastated both as a competitor and as a leader. Watching the faction he built crumble from the inside was far more damaging than any in-ring attack Roman had ever launched against him. The betrayer's final message creates maximum fallout. Before leaving the ring, the traitor delivered one final message to Seth. "You built alliances based on your rivalry. Roman builds empires." The statement struck at the philosophical core of Seth's faction, suggesting that its foundation was flawed from the beginning. It wasn't meant as an insult. It was a statement of perspective, one that instantly shifted the conversation from betrayal to introspection. The Bloodline's exit left Seth and his shaken teammates struggling to process the emotional and political blow they had just suffered. Seth's faction begins to crumble. Backstage reactions reflected real tension. Some members of Seth's faction reportedly questioned whether they should remain aligned with him, fearing that Roman could strike again or that more betrayals might be hiding beneath the surface. The unity that once defined the group quickly gave way to uncertainty, and rumors circulated about wrestlers requesting storyline changes to protect their careers. Seth's leadership, once seen as inspiring, was now viewed with doubt. Seth Rollins faces his own history. Many observers couldn't ignore the irony. Years ago, Seth Rollins famously betrayed the Shield for personal gain. Now he was experiencing a betrayal that felt eerily similar, and that parallel made the moment even more emotionally difficult for him. The storyline hinted that Seth's past choices had come full circle, not as punishment but as the natural consequence of how he once navigated power in WWE. Roman Reigns proves his influence reaches everywhere. Roman's strategy didn't just devastate Seth's faction. It sent a message to the entire locker room. No alliance is safe from the tribal chief's influence. His ability to recruit, persuade, and shift loyalties demonstrated a level of control beyond championships or main events. Roman wasn't merely leading the Bloodline, he was shaping WWE's political landscape, forcing everyone to question who could be trusted and who might be next. Tama Tonga's role becomes even more important. Tama Tonga's importance skyrocketed after this reveal. His role in recruiting the betrayer and his strategic insight in guiding the plan proved that his value extended far beyond physical presence. Roman clearly trusted him to manage delicate operations, and this placed Tama in a more authoritative and respected position within the Bloodline's internal hierarchy. The moral ambiguity makes the story even stronger. The storyline didn't present the betrayer as purely malicious. Their reasons were understandable: opportunity, career growth, and a desire to be more than a supporting character. This nuance made the betrayal feel more human and layered. Fans could disagree with the choice, but they could also understand it, creating a compelling gray area that elevated the entire storyline. Where does Seth Rollins go from here? The fallout leaves Seth Rollins at a crossroads. His faction is fractured, his leadership is questioned, and his confidence has been shaken. The real challenge for Seth isn't physical recovery, it's finding a way to rebuild trust and purpose after such a personal setback. Whether he rises from this stronger or falls deeper into turmoil will define the next chapter of his career.